Hey everyone, what's good? We got my series against Posho for the finals of Black and White Overused Global Championship. This game, well, rather, this best of three series is for a ribbon. Just for some backstory, let me head on to the thread. Just kidding. Oh, there we go. So round one, was me. I beat Obi. And Posho beat False. Looking, there are some really strong players. This field, such as Dragon, Lax, Googly, Avon, Posho, Tricking, Ray Scarface, both solid, and among others. Of course, not trying to say any of the others aren't great because they're all solid players, and Lavos as well. So yeah, strong players in this field. Definitely not something to laugh at. In the next round, I beat Dragon. It was a really close set. He used a nice team game one, really caught me by surprise, but I managed to walk away with the next two, and then Posho beat Tricking. Must have been a really nice set. Both fantastic players, in my opinion. And then Lax fell to Zard 97, and Googly fell to Sot, surprisingly enough. But then Posho and I hold strong in the next round. And now, as the 1 seed, I play him, the 3 seed, in finals. He got such a high seed because he won Black and White Cup, but I pretty much dominated the circuit. I won a couple other tours. So yeah, I think this is a pretty fair match for the finals of the tournament. I think we're both solid players. Looking at Posho, his Poke resume speaks to itself. He's the champion of Smogon Tour 23, as well as a finalist of Smogon Tour 24, and I believe he got 22 rather, not 24, and I believe he got pretty far in 24, speaking of 24 as well. But Smog Tour is not all. He did win Black and White Cup this year, as well as making another run during a past year, if I recall correctly. I don't know how far specifically, but the point is that he's definitely not a flop, and he's competed with some of the best, if not better, players in general. Better, if not best players in general. Sorry, I can't talk. Posho also is 2-1 this SPL on Black White. Not really playing at his best, but he's definitely capable, and he's playing good enough to win games, so that means a lot. Because he had a rough 2018 and team tournaments. His SPL was not the best, and I think that part of that actually is my own fault for allowing some more questionable teams. I don't really blame him. I think he played well. It just was some decisions that didn't pan out. Overall, Posho, though, phenomenal player, really creative builder. He has a great eye for the metagame, and I respect him a lot. He's a good friend of mine, and I always look forward to playing him, even though we don't match against each other in tournaments very often. Anyway, so this is a finals, best of three. I think Posho is probably one of the maybe half dozen, probably even shorter list of people that I would consider have a better resume of Black-White success on Smogging than me right now. But I think in terms of recent level of play, I would give myself a very, very slight edge. I think we're really neck and neck, maybe even just 50-50, honestly. Just because I did well in World Cup. I mean, he did well in the World Cup too, but I had more games to play. And both of us did pretty well in World Cup, honestly. Exceed the death group. Yeah, no, I don't think that really is a distinguishing factor. But I also dominated Smog Tour in Black White. I remember last week I won that tour, and then I made finals of the next one. I almost won back-to-back tours, which would have been pretty cool. And on top of that, I did go 2-2 in playoffs, which isn't great, but my loss against Dom was a bit unfortunate, although I got the even end of that in Oras. So I'm not going to complain about that, but I'm just saying I think I've been pretty on top of my game in Black White. I've been doing well lately. So I think I'm more than up to the task for this opponent. I just have to execute and bring the right teams. So let's talk about teams, because since these are championship games, I know I gave a lot of background for my series against Honor. I want to give enough background as I can for these as well. Posho, as I said before, is a bit more of a creative builder. He likes to consider fringe options. Some examples would be he uses more Latias, Virizion, Bronzong, strictly with Magnezone, thankfully. Hell, even Alamamola than the average guy. He's not afraid to break out these kind of conceptually heavy sand builds, and I think that's really cool. I think it brings another element to the game. I think it opens up a lot of new matchup possibilities, and I love people like him and Dice kind of stretching the boundaries of the metagame and the confines of team building. I think that having people like them in the player base is actually really healthy for an old metagame, and I love seeing what Posho brings every week. The team that he used game one looks like something that's kind of right up his alley. It's got the aforementioned quarter Bronzong versus Magnezone, which actually are generally a very good pick against me, as I use a lot of like Latios, Alakazam, Landorus, Garchomp, just things that Bronzong generally shuts down. And on top of that, usually the things that take advantage of Bronzong are Skarmory and Ferrothorn. as they set up spikes on it, and they kind of just sit there all day while Bronzong fails to make progress. But pairing it with Magnezone makes it so that the matchup dynamic is totally swayed in the favor. Because say I don't have this Rotom W, or say he's a toxic Bronzong, which he very well might be on this team, then it's really hard for me to beat the two Steel types combined with each other. The one thing I don't like too much about Bronzong is that against Rain, I think it kind of becomes dead weight because these teams normally can only afford to run Amoonguss, as there's no way to fit Rotom W plus Ferrothorn on them, as you've already got a Steel type and a Grass. You already have a Steel type like Bronzong that would overlap weirdly, and then on top of that, you also have Magnezone, so you can't run another Electric or another Steel type. So you're pretty much forced to run Amoonguss. But on the bright side, teams like these are able to use Gliscor very well, especially Swords Dance Gliscor, as it pairs well with Magnezone. So they don't really need spikes to make progress, given the sand, trapping, sleeping, and the ground type synergy, as well as likely mixed Tyranitar. But anyway, so while the matchup dynamic against something like Tentacle Rain might be a bit more challenging if the ground type can't do work when paired with Sunny Day Magnezone, it is worth noting that the matchup dynamic against most standard sands is pretty good. But thankfully, I didn't use what I would call my standard 6. Usually I have, say, an Alakazam over Terrakion, or honestly, Alakazam over Terrakion is quite literally a 6 that I was considering for this set, a 6 I've used many times in the past. But now, this game, I used Terrakion. My thought process was Swords Dance, Rock Gym, Terrakion. Takes advantage of his bulkier cores, especially after Amoonguss sleeps something as in Sand. He drains only a 3 KO, so it's a free Swords Dance, pretty much. And I know that Posho isn't afraid to use Stun Spore, but I also think he would respect the prospect of it being a substitute Terrakion. So I actually use Protect over Substitute on this team. And the reason being is that not only am I deadly weak to opposing Scarf Bianchao, but also Scarf ground types. Posho likes to kind of aggressively pivot around to position himself. And looking at my team, I don't really have any regenerator Pokemon or things to punish Garchomp. So Landorus sees you turning Garchomp's onslaught of offensive attacks when their Scarf can really be punishing. So I want to scout them out, but also if something like Scarf Garchomp kind of sees that Earthquake is likely to kill the Terrakion, so I switch out, and wants to go for a dual chop or wants to double switch out, then my Terrakion can potentially have free reign to get another kill after the Garchomp tries to revenge kill it. Or alternatively, if the Landorus T-locks in the U-turn, then the same thing happens. I have free reign. So I really like the Swords Dance plus Protect variant on this team. Besides that, my team is pretty much standard set-wise. I almost used Bulldoze Ferrothorn, but I think ultimately I went with Spikes, Knock, Leech, Power Whip. I almost used Bulldoze over Leech, but I didn't want to on this team just because I had no other Steel types that were vulnerable to being trapped, and my Heatran matchup was good with Terrakion. I think initially I had something a bit more Terrakion vulnerable in the last slot, so that's why I was not Terrakion, a bit more of Heatran vulnerable in the last slot over Terrakion. So that's what I was considering. But yeah, I mean, just standard Choppleberry Tyranitar, and on top of that, we had Latios, and Latios was just Specs, Dragon Pulse, Surf, Sleep Talk, Dragon Pulse. It could be Psycho Shift on this team, but since Rotom W is moving from a lot of things, I don't like Psycho Shift on this post specifically. Usually in Rotom W list teams, I actually find a way to run Psycho Shift if I don't have a Amoonguss as well, but that's kind of rare to have neither of those on a sand, just from my perspective. Because then there's like overlap with stats, it gets awkward. What else am I trying to say? Oh yeah, it was Sleep Talk. So I don't like Sleep Talk on Scarflander T. That feels like dead weight a lot of offensive matches where you need it. And then I believe Scarflander T was one of the plus attack ones was 264 speed because you don't need it for X Scarf X Drill with Rotom W. And it was just Earthquake, Hidden Power Ice. I'm not sure if it was Stone Edge or Superpower. I know it wasn't Punishment though because this Tyranitar was 88 Adamant to a kill Reuniclus, so I didn't feel a need for that. It was either Stone Edge or Superpower. I forget. I was going on and off between the two. I think ultimately I went with Stone Edge because I was afraid of getting overwhelmed by a Tornadus Rain, as I know Posh uses Tornadus more than the average dude. But either way, neither came into play here. And then just the standard Scarflanders. So I used pretty standard 6, and he used something that Posho would use. Again, it's Scarf, probably Scarf Chomp looking at the team. Scarf Chomp would be okay because you have other Alakazam checks. You don't need Choppleberry. i.e. you have Bronzong, but while Scarftar helps against the Rain matchup in trapping stuff like Latios and Rain, and maybe even doing well against one of the flying types that are more dynamic, such as Tornadus and Thunderous, you really don't want to bank on Swords Dance Chomp plus Swords Dance Gliscor. I feel like that's so much overlap, and they don't actually complement each other. They're just walled by the same thing. So even if Magnezone traps a lot of them, I just don't like that. I feel like you'd rather have a Gravity Landorus over Gliscor than and just go on a more fully offensive team. So yeah, given that, I'm inclined to believe it's probably either a utility 4 attacks Tyranitar and Stealth Rocks on the Bronzong, or it's just 4 attacks on or it's Stealth Rock 3 attacks, Chople, Tyranitar, much like my own from Posho, and then it's Toxic, Protect, Earthquake, Hidden Power Ice on the Bronzong instead of using Stealth Rock over Toxic, or even Protect, depending on what you kind of prefer on the team. But given that he's got a Mungus and potentially Gliscor to deal off status, I don't think that is the Toxic. I think that he'd prioritize Protect over Toxic. Anyway, yeah, so given that, it's probably Scarf, Garchomp. They're pretty much all Sunny Day Magnezone right now, especially Defensive Spore on the Amoonguss. It could be Stun Spore, but it also could just be Clear Smog. Clear Smog does really nice because you clear Smog away. Something like a Swords Dance Toxicroak or Rheoniclus. And there are a number of things. It's really it's nice with Swords Dance Gliscor though, because it lets you scout out sets without risking Gliscor, and then later on clear Smog off, and then get Gliscor into 1v1 those bulkier setup sweepers. It's kind of an underrated synergy element that's been around for a while that I've kind of respected, but a lot of people others don't because they want to use flashier things. I also think this is more likely than not an HP Ice Amoonguss. Last move could be Stun Spore, could be Clear Smog, could still be Sleep Talk. If it's Swords Dance on the Gliscor, because you don't always want to lead with it, and Protect turn 1 when you don't want and whatnot. So yeah, with that said, let's get into the game. So we're gonna get started off here. He leads with Bronzong and I lead with Tyranitar. The thought process was that so I knew right then and there that since there's no Latios, there's no Alakazam, there's no Rheoniclus, and he has a combination of things that do really well against my Ice Beamless Tyranitar. That being, of course, this Bronzong itself, and then also 2 of the ground types in Gliscor and Garchomp. I wanted to get my Rocks immediately, and I also knew that if I could chip the Bronzong, specifically if he lets me burn it, then I want to sleep Tyranitar. But if he doesn't let me burn it, then I still want to sleep Latios. The reason being is that with this Bronzong crippled, then the Latios forces a kill on the Tyranitar. Or, well, it forces it to be weakened. It being forced to be weakened is a lot for Latios to do a matchup against Bronzong plus Tyranitar plus Amoonguss plus Scarf that's faster than it in Garchomp. This basically is a nightmare matchup for Specs Latios. So I knew right then and there that it would be the most expandable member of my team, but I also knew that if I could triple one of those things, then it would still at least get a kill and carry its weight. So I'd rather have that than Tyranitar, which is also useless. Basically, a lot of my thought process of team preview was seeing what could do work. And off the bat, I knew that my progress makers were going to be the following Pokemon. It was going to be Terrakion, Swords Dance set, as it gets a kill 100% if I play it well, and Rotom W. Rotom W specifically because it can take advantage of so many things. And I really knew this not to be Toxic Bronzong, though, because if Toxic Bronzong was the pick, then it would have been a lot more awkward for me. I would have had to probably pivot in, Ferrothorn a couple times, and time the Magnezone, etc. So yeah, anyway, I want to do Tyranitar. It's most expandable, and it gets Stealth Rock up turn 1 no matter what. If he leaves with Garchomp, I would have still stayed in and clicked Stealth Rock, honestly. Because I would live a mixed Life Orb one, because they don't run attack, they're special attack oriented. Only thing I would die to is Choice Banded, and I'm 99.9% sure it wasn't Choice Banded. And I also was 99% sure that Tyranitar wasn't Choice Banded, because Posho prefers mix over Banded. He never really uses Banded card. So I would have rocked into that and taken whatever from Superpower into Choppleberry. So yeah, Power and Stealth Rock was the play turn 1, and it and Latios are most expandable. Depending on how the Bronzong is played, that is what I sleep. But usually it's going to be Latios, so I don't think he lets this get burned. So let's see what we do here. Turn 1, I rock. He rocks. This is a huge turn. Knowing that this is rocks goes a long way, because that means that I can switch Rotom W into it, because it's far less likely to be Toxic. Now, Toxic Rocks Bronzong is by no means unseen, but it needs to run Ice plus Earthquake automatically. So the last slot's always between Protect and Toxic. I mean, I guess you've seen like fringe moves like Hypnosis before as well, but I couldn't say I'm a fan. Sorry, pardon me. And also, oh yeah, he had a Munga, so there's no way it's hypnosis. I consider a lot between turns. Usually what happens is I click within 30 to 60 seconds, and then I just try and kind of check out all of his sets within the first 5 or 7 turns of the game in black-white games, just because there's so much that's already like out there and known. I feel like my brain just kind of can check off all the check boxes about playing this tier, to where unless someone's using something that's like suboptimal or like really risky, I'm gonna know what's up very early on in the game, and that's kind of one of my bigger advantages as a player in this metagame. I feel like the information was huge, but anyway, knowing that this was rocks also meant that it was probably a utility for attack strategy, much like what he used against Zoro Dark in SPL, which did well there. So it wouldn't surprise me if he used it. Anyway, so given this valuable information, I proceed forward by just going to Fire Throw because I know he's not going to go to Magna Zone, scared of the Fire Blast, and he goes to Gliscor, which is a safe play because there's no Ice Beam there. So he gets his Toxic Orb up, and I get my Magna Zone, and I predict him to want to either Swords Dance or go to Magna Zone, so I go to Rotom W. Going to Ferrothorn was only a position bait to get Rotom W in and try and make progress. There's no way I kept it in there to let the Magna Zone come in. I frankly thought he would go to Magna Zone of his own there, just as early and taking rocks once wouldn't be bad. But him clicking Swords Dance there was actually a really nice play because it put me in a corner off the bat. Because A, if I stay in, then I literally can't really hurt this. Leech Seed plus Power Up just isn't doing enough. And he doesn't even know if I have both of those at the time. So that's safe, especially since that makes me forced to stay in and him go Magna Zone makes the trap easier. But also, it means that if he's specially defensive, then I could very well lose Rotom earlier on, or lose a significant amount of Rotom W's health, and then have to play mind games with him to get Landorus or Latios in at the right time. So Swords Dance was nice there, but I think that he was I'm pretty much forced to hide it from here. I think that he was probably a bit more physically defensive oriented, or just a faster one, because as you'll see, he switches out here, so he just didn't want to risk it. Maybe he wasn't Facade. I think he was Facade. I think he showed that later. Anyway, so I just go hide from there because I was pretty much forced to. Is this the time I Volt into Latios? I think this turn I Volt into Latios because he didn't let the Bronzong get burnt at this point. And although it was early, I knew that I had to let it sleep just because it was by far the least useful. It was hard walled by multiple Pokemon. So yeah, letting Latios sleep was fine. I double into Tyranitar there, and he goes to Bronzong. Bronzong retire felt obvious. I knew I could live a utility superpower through Chople, and I wanted to kill his Tar, but also the Bronzong was fine. Anyway, that baits the Gliscor back in because he doesn't want to take a Fire Blast or a Strong Crunch, which is fine because he can only Earthquake me back. It's pretty resisted. Anyway, this time I Hydro Pump again, just figuring, all right, I don't want to play any games with this Gliscor because I'm taking rocks every time, and plus 2 Facade is going to do much. Then I miss HPS on the Amoonguss. I miss Will-Whistle on the Amoonguss, who goes for HPS. Now, I figured the play there was to Wisp, because if he Giga Drains, then I'm still able to Pain Split up. I'm still able to be immune to EQ, and I'd be able to come in on the Bronzong every time. I think that his HPS there was a pretty questionable play, but maybe if it was HP Fire, which I don't think it would be with Magna Zone, then it could have been a bit better, because me going Ferrothorn and trying to get my spikes there would have been fine, because I could have gotten 2 spikes. But I don't know. I think Giga was just a bit better. I guess he was just scared of me switching into a couple of things there. But that did confirm that he didn't have Stun Spore. I was actually kind of hoping that if he had Stun Spore, he'd use it there, because then I'd get this slower. And also, if it was Toxic Blast on Bronzong, then there was no way that I'd get Toxic. So as long as I didn't get Parahaxed up the butt against Gliscor, I was fine. Especially if I kept the Latios alive in the back, because all 3 of the attacks do devastating damage to it through Sleep Talk. But anyway, after I missed there, I knew it Giga Drain, and after taking that damage, I was down to 65. So not only would a crit always kill me, but also since he would then take the burn, it would be a lot harder for me to Pain Split up later on, because he would probably just switch into something that threatens me, and I just didn't want to risk that sequence happening. I needed the Rotom W's health to be preserved, so I think I just Volt Switched out into what I want to say is Terrakion, because I saw this as an opening since he didn't reveal Stun Spore. Yeah, because I knew I would live multiple of these. So here I just clicked Swords Dance, and that did 34, as I said, so it's basically a 3 KO. I took Rock, so it's definitely 3 KO. He does 34 once more here. He's at like a bit under 90, at 80, yeah, 86. Stone Edge up from +2 might be a roll if he's a bit more physically defensive, which given Volt Switch doing 9% might not be too far-fetched. He might actually have significant PDAF investment, although I always run like max special defense on my Mungus. But I didn't even bother collecting it because I'm Rock Gem, so I knew right then and there that I'm going to get killed. And I know a couple of things. One, he does not want to risk the Bronzong with Latios and Landorus alive, especially before at least forces and Ferrothorn to be trapped by Magnezone. Two, he does not want to risk Magnezone because my Ferrothorn is still alive and well. Three, he does not want to risk the Gliscor, as that is his win condition ultimately. And four, he does not want to risk the Garchomp because it's his Scarfer. And revenge killing, especially when he doesn't know what set I fully am, and having the ability to kind of have something faster than Latios, it's just nice. I figured Garchomp was the most likely switch of anything, but I think more likely than anything else, he was going to stay in there or go to Tar. Yeah, I think actually in hindsight, I would probably go Tar if I was him. Just throw the Tar out because Latios already asleep and you got Bronzong. But anyway, I kind of had an urge to click close combat because of that. But I just clicked Stone Edge and I knew that Stone Edge would kill the Tar anyway. And I didn't need Rock Jump for much else besides Gliscor, and that I could deal with. But anyway, so here's what happens. Oh, fuck, I revealed it. God damn it. So I click the Stone Edge and... why is it doing that? Okay, I click the Stone Edge. It kills the Amoonguss +2 Rock Gem. It did crit, but it didn't matter from Rock Gem. Anyway, now the aforementioned Protect sequence comes into play. So I click Protect here because it's risk-free. This is most definitely Scarf given the team structure and process of elimination. So I think that he's going to predict me to predict just Earthquake or Dual Chop to come on in. So therefore, I would go to the Ferrothorn or the Landorus T. And if I go Landorus T, then it's just easy for him to go to Gliscor or Bronzong after that. So he wanted to get back in the game because he lost his Amoonguss for nothing. He wanted to get the Amoonguss, the Ferrothorn trapped by the Magnezone. So he goes to Magnezone here, and I just Protect. So he made a good double switch. He has no way of knowing this is my set. But I Protect, and that is huge for me. Because now I get a pretty close combat, and it does 50% to this Gliscor. So that means that he's not fully defensive at all. In fact, he's probably a bit more specially defensive or fast, which is something to keep in mind later on. Because HP from Lando is probably going to be doing between, like, I don't know, like 65 to 67 to, like, 73 to 75 instead of potentially up to 80% or even low 80s. So that means that my counterplay to this is a lot limited. It also means that I think he legitimately could have stayed in with this on turn like 2 or 3 against the Rhythm W when he's a fall. But I still get not wanting to risk that. I could have been like HP or offensive or some shit, and that could have blown it back. Especially if he's slower. But yeah, I get the early hesitance from him, but it means that it could be a nuisance for my Rotom W and Gliscor later on, as well as eating a Dragon Pulse from the Choice Block Latios or a -2 Draco better. So yeah, definitely a potential problem. That was not what I wanted to see, but seeing as he took 50% there, and now he has to fodder off something, that was huge. He doesn't actually have to fodder off something, though, because I'm pretty much forced to Earthquake. Not to Earthquake, to the Stone Edge. So he goes to Garchomp, which is a smart play, and I connect and do 53%. And, I mean, now that I know he's Scarf, I still Protect anyway, just in case he wants to double down on that and predict me to overpredict. But he Earthquakes, and then he makes a nice play, and he goes to Bronzong out. But I figure, okay, since he's locked into Earthquake, I could go to Landorus T, but I figure he might go to Bronzong or Gliscor here. So I wanted to go to Rotom W essentially as a safe, quote-unquote, mid-round. But, I mean, really, it's just as good as Landorus T because it's still immune to Earthquake, and it's got U-turn to Volt Switch. And it's even slower than something. So that could be nice. But anyway, I get that right, and I know for a fact he doesn't want to let this get burned. But looking at his team without Amoonguss, nothing really wants to get burned. So Rotom W is now insanely valuable at this point. And I know that it has a limited amount of rock switching before Pain Split. So I want to think, do I want a Pain Split here? And I'm looking at the members of his team. Let's go at 52%, and there's no way I click Hydro Pump here. And then I see Garchomp. He's below half. It's not saying right now when I scroll over it, but keep in mind it took Rocks twice and the Stone Edge. So therefore, either of those would be potential decent panic switches if he thinks I'm going to Volt, or Gliscor would be Volt or Wisp. And there's no way I Hydro Pump into this risking Toxic. If I'm going to trade status, that's fine, but I can't Hydro and do like 28%, just have him like get off with leftovers later. So Wisp or Volt is always my play. And he doesn't have much for Wisp switching that's safe. Gliscor is the only Wisp switching, and that dies to Hydro Pump now. So He protects, which is fine, because at this point, I now know that this no way it has toxics. That's huge. Because now Rotom W can come into this infinitely. Time after time after time after time, unless it's below 20%, because then rocks plus HP plus sand, yada, 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 kills it. Probably below 25%, honestly. But, yeah, no, this was really another turn of vital information for me, I'd say. He goes to Magnezone, and I think this was pretty much his only play. As I said, he didn't have a Wisp Switch in. But looking at that, that's big. Because, look, Magnezone's taking 6.25% rocks, and then it's taking 12% from burn, and it doesn't even kill the Ferrothorn in one hit. So, potentially, that could mean that a late game Ferrothorn could actually be really problematic for him now, too. So, as you're seeing, the Terrakion opened up all these different alleyways for my Rotom W to be annoying, potentially for my Ferrothorn to be annoying. Now, there's one less Steel type that's intact, or potentially something like U-turn spam, or for Stone Edge, or even for Latios. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty important. Anyway, now I think I just go to my Tyranitar. It's by far the least valuable member of my team, and I think that there's no way it's Flash Cannon Sunny Day. He goes to Garchomp there, predicting probably a Volt Switch. Good play, but at that point, I'm like, all right, so I don't need my Landers healthy as long as it's able to live Stealth Rock Switch-ins 2 or 3 more times later on to threaten out the Gliscor or make quick work of it to where it's in range for my Terrakion or any of the 3 attacks from my Latios. So I basically need it to be a below half. So switching it into there is fine because there's no way he outrages with Ferrothorn alive. Worst case scenario, dual chop, 2 hits, leaves me still above half. Since I do have like 68 defense from the leftover from speed. But anyway, I get Landers T on Gliscor, and that's huge because it's easily in H-Trace range. So I know he's more likely than not going to go to Bronzong or to Magnezone here to scout out the ice and try and punish me for that. I think Magnezone is a bit risky, though, because if I predict that in Earthquake, then that's like game over pretty much for him. But like, is there any way that's actually going to happen? No, not really. I think he does need to be more aggressive in this position because he's losing the game. But I think his take on being aggressive wasn't great. So I go for a just kind of easy U-turn. But he goes into Tar, probably to try and Pursuit Trap me in Ice. So, but I knew that was possible. I U-turn, and now I get my Terrakion in. I go for a close combat into the Garchomp, which is his choice of fodder, which is good because he's the least valuable member at this point. The luxury of Revenge Tongue was kind of thrown out after he didn't get to Revenge Kill my Protect Terrakion. It just wasn't very needed since he still has Latios walled, and he's got stuff that's sufficient in the speed category for everything else on my team. So yeah, he threw out his least valuable member. A good play by him. And now I think he gets the Gliscor in. No, he goes to Bronzong. So I saved this after protecting. Just got double. Is this the time I go Pharaoh? Or did I go... Yeah, I go Rotom here because, again, it's pretty much he come in instantly. He goes for Ice. Just 5%. Yeah, 5 plus 6 is 11 plus Rocks is 12.5. So I could pretty much come in at like 24% or lower against that Bronzong and be safe, barring crits from HPIs. Anyway, I go for Wisp again. Same scenario as before, except the Magnezone's already burnt. But the Magnezone doesn't want to take much more damage, especially since Hydro Pump is fairly damn likely at this point, because him switching to anything results in Hydro Pump getting a kill. So there I just Wisp, and I'm like, all right, so first and foremost, I don't know the set on this, but it potentially could be Choice Banded. And I don't want to risk Fast Ban. I also don't want to risk Step Berry bullshit. So I know that I want to switch out to my least valuable team member at this point, which is my Tyranitar. And I believe at this point he doubles out into Gliscor, predicting either that or a Volt Switch, which was a good play by him. However, I go to Landers here because it's still very healthy from before. It didn't have to take anything from the Garchomp, thankfully. And I have him at -1. And here I HPI's thinking, okay, at this point, my Rotom W is still healthy enough. And if I get a crit, the game just ends. And also, seeing as it does much over half plus Poison Heal, I'm going to double out here. Because A, it's at was it at -1? Yeah, it's at -1. So it's going to need 2 Swords Dances to really start doing damage. But B, I don't think he's going to stay in when I'm doing more than 62.5%. Because Bronzong is free and Magnezone is free. So, therefore, I went Pharaoh. Pharaoh was actually kind of risky because if he goes Magnezone, then I'm kind of dicked. Dicked in a short-term sense, though, because then potentially tracking get a kill. Especially Rotom W could do something, and my Tar can dispose of it afterwards with even just Pursuit after Roxas Burn, plus the 2 turns set up damage on it. Since my Tar was easily able to take a Thunderbolt at 63% after Roxas, it's not half. So, yeah. Anyway, at this point, I double up to Ferrothorn thinking, oh, I'm probably going to go Bronzong. He's probably going to go Bronzong, but if not, he goes Magnezone. I still get a spike up. Potentially 2, depending on if he's modest in Sunny Day, which they all should be. Anyway, so I get my spike up, and he predicts me to protect the Bronzong, probably to get a Last Ditch Tar or Tyranitar hit on it. He predicts me to predict the Magnezone and switch to one of those, rather. So basically, he predicted me to predict the Magnezone and thus switch out my Ferrothorn. So then I would go to Terrakion or Tyranitar to threaten it. But I figured, okay, now that I have Ferrothorn in, even if he goes hard Magnezone, I get a spike here plus a spike on Sunny Day or HP Fire afterwards. And there's no way it stacks early Sunny Day on teams like this, because otherwise rain is too big of an issue. And on top of that fact, it's also the fact that 2 spikes against a Magnezone team when the Amoonguss is already down and the Tyranitar plus Magnezone I want to whittle. And just it's kind of nice getting 2 spikes. So I was like, okay, I get 2 spikes plus momentum, plus the Magnezone pretty much kills itself, which would make me 5-3 after Ferrothorn goes down. I'm like, okay, this is a worthy trade. But also, I know there's a chance he predicts me to overpredict and stays in, and that's what happened. He went for an Earthquake on a spike, so now I'm like golden. Now I go to Terrakion, predicting the Magnezone, knowing he's going to panic switch, and instead he fires off the Tyranitar, which was a good play by him, actually. Now my Terrakion is dead to rock, so I just stay in here on the Gliscor. I miss Stone Edge. Thankfully, he goes for Facade. Revealing that his Facade is actually pretty valuable information. Now I know that the Rotom W is in range. It's not Ice Fang. So I think I just go Gliscor again, knowing that, okay, Ice Fang isn't even threatening this either, though. So I go for the U-turn again, saying, worst case scenario, I think this was Leech on Pharaoh. I can just Leech it up. I think here he finally goes to the Magnezone, and I went for a Greed Spike trying to whittle it down. No, actually, no, I went for Leech Seed. No, Leech Seed was the right play, because Leech would have really made sure he died. But anyway, he goes for Sunny Day, and I just go for Spikes. No, okay, I don't have Protect, so I can't Leech Protect stall it out. So that's fine. I get 2 spikes up, so now there's no way this Magnezone comes back in. But to add insult to injury, I go to Tyranitar and pursued it, making that second spike play kind of dumb. I should have powered for a crit, but it didn't really matter at this point. I think the game was already won. So I go for Pursuit, and now he brings Gliscor in, and my play is just to spam Crunch, because I have no need for this Tyranitar ultimately. He goes for Facade, predicting me to try and throw. Fair play, he's playing to his outs. I just spam Crunch, knowing that it will be an HP's range after, more likely than not, especially if I get a drop in a prolonged sequence. If I get a drop early, which makes my life so much easier. Now I go to Lando T, actually trying to preserve this. Another sequence where I kind of have him on the ropes. He goes for Earthquake, trying to kill me. Now I go for HP Ice. I do 68. He roosts. And I think that now he's at -1, and he's forced to roost. I know that Rotom, I calculate Rotom W always loses Facade and can pain split up. So I use this opportunity to get Rotom W in. I think I actually fished. Yeah, I fished to where the follow-up H base would be in kill range, because I got a max damage with that one. So potentially could kill. And then I went to Rotom W thinking, okay, he goes Bronzong, or he roosts again. There's 0 chance he flicks Facade or Swords Dance. And I got that right. So now I pretty much checkmated him, because this can't touch me. So I just pain split, and I'd have to miss a Hydro here and then lose 50-50s afterwards to lose this game from here. And he clicks Facade. Yeah, he could have crit that too. If he crit that, then it would have also came down to my games. But yeah, I hit the Hydro Pump, and I win 4-0. The matchup against the Gliscor was not comfortable, but the fact that his Bronzong could not touch my Rotom W made me a lot more comfortable. So that game ultimately went in my favor because of that and some timely aggressive play over him. I think that Posho didn't necessarily play poorly, but I think there are a couple sequences where he maybe could have been a bit more aggressive or a bit less telegraphed. Anyway, I got the upper hand of him there, so I was up 1-0 at this point. I'm going to give you game 2 in a second. Just going to pause. This is a long analysis. Hey, everyone, we're back. So I just got some water there. So this is game 2, potentially of 3. I'm up 1-0, as you saw, so I still fucking swallowed the water. So this game, I wanted to bring a bit more of an experimental build. So I've been trying to figure out how this concept could work for a long time now. Ooh, okay, I just burped. I had really good chicken tenders rather, for dinner. It was one of those that probably caused that. But anyway, I wanted to use this cool Balloon set I've been tinkering with for a while. It's Poison Heal. I never use Poison Heal Balloon. I never really used Balloon, to be honest. With Spore, Swords Dance, Facade, and Drain Punch. It's a really anti-metagame set. Now, the premise of the team is essentially this. +2 Facade always kills Amoongus after Stealth Rock. And usually does after Sand, given its standard spread and the spread on this Breloom. So you lure kill the Amoongus, and then you've got Toxic Spikes on Tentacruel, and you've got Calm Mind, Scald, Sacred Sword, Protect on the Keldeo. You run all this with a Scarf Landorus, and it's just a really nasty Sand team. If you can kill that Amoongus on opposing Sands, really nasty Rain team rather, kill Amoongus on opposing Sands earlier on in the game, then you just absolutely go to town. The main issue with this team, though, is that while it has a really specially defensive Jirachi, I don't like having Jirachi as the only check to Alakazam and specifically to Latios on Rain. As Rain Boosted Surf does a number, you can get tricked and thus lose your leftovers while it retains bulk and potentially the ability to run Trick plus Recover, which is actually a really threatening set to this team. And on top of that, with Toxic Spikes, you can't even Toxic it with Tentacruel. So, the reason I haven't used a team like this in, say, SPL or World Cup or Smog on Tour before, well, besides the fact that I haven't played Black and White in SPL in over 2 years, is merely the fact that while it's amazing conceptually, there are some common metagame elements that, while they aren't immediately threatening, they can be sooner into games than I'd like them to be. As usually kill for kill trades kind of happen later on in Black White games, but during the middle stages, you can't afford for that to be the case when using more of a, what I want to call it, more of a methodical approach Rain-wise with this as opposed to kind of a kill for kill hyper-offensive Rain like those I used in World Cup. So just the over-dependence on Jirachi's defensive capabilities was my main issue there. In fact, I almost used Protect over HP Ice on this. It currently is especially defensive, but it has Stealth Rock, Iron Head, Thunder, and HP Ice. And that HP Ice actually is also really synergetic with the Breloom. It's also worth noting the Toxic Spikes mean that this Breloom, while it can't hit Jellicent, at least Jellicent kind of kills itself. But I do have 2 Pokemon hard-walled by Jellicent. So while I have Thief on Politoed, there definitely are some more problematic or troublesome matchups. Jellicent, Sand being one, and teams with Alakazam plus Latios and Sand being the other. But looking through Posho's replays, I noticed that he's got a fuck ton more of Amoongus usage than Jellicent, and also he even used Slowking 1 or 2 times more than Jellicent. I think that actually might be around even. But yeah, I knew this was good for the opponent, and I've had this team sitting there for a couple months now. And I know that conceptually it's really cool, but it's just flawed against a couple of things. But I felt that those couple things weren't really likely, and I was only going to use this team in game 2 if I won game 1. Otherwise, I was going to use the same 6-hit ABR used against Aventura against FLCL in round 1, but with a couple of different sets and spreads. I just kind of came upon myself, and I was like, oh, ABR used this, and I took this structure, just made some edits. Cool team. We're not going to get to see that because this series actually only goes to spoiler. But yeah, I use this instead. So really cool conceptual team. One of the more risky builds for me. Usually I'm a bit more standardized, but I wanted to kind of get out of the way, do something that was unexpected here, because I know Posho actually generally matches up pretty well with me. He beat my ass in tests a lot last year, and he's a really respectable player, so I wanted to change it up, since I feel like he would use stuff that he already had. Anyway, Posho himself used a pretty cool Rain team. It's got Tornadus, which is something I mentioned last game, which I definitely want to be ready for. Because I know Posho still uses Tornadus more than Thundurus, which is kind of something that the rest of the metagame has no longer subscribed to. But he's definitely sticks with Tornadus grind, and that's really respectable. He's got no ground type, which interests me. I feel like the Rotom W matchup's not great. Although ground types, I mean, it really just wrote Landorus, but like it's just spamming Volt Switch. It makes it like awkward, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. It's not really Rotom W, it's just Volt Switch plus something to check Ferrothorn. Anyway, the rest of it, if I had to guess, it was either Stealth Rock plus Spikes on the Ferrothorn or Stealth Rocks on the Jirachi. But looking at his team, I think it could be 3 attacks Jirachi, or even combine 2 attacks plus Trick on Latios, Scarf rather. Or it could just be Scarf Politoed. We'll have to wait and see. Politoed could be a number of things, and I imagine Tentacruel is probably not Toxic Spikes on this team, but it wouldn't shock me if it was. Now, the Toxic Spike matchup of mine is fine. I've got an Absorber plus Spinner Tentacruel, and Toxic Spikes being up mean I can switch to Breloom immediately into Scald, which is neat because it gets poisoned before it needs to burn. The Politoed doesn't really need to stay alive a lot in this matchup anyway, so Toxic Spikes aren't a big deal. But Keldeo is the only thing that matters, and Keldeo needs you to whittle down Tentacruel anyway a bit. Although, technically speaking, if you switch in Tentacruel, you aren't status immediately, and it's Toxic Spikes over Toxic, then you 1v1 it, and if it doesn't burn you like turn 1 or some shit. And there's leftovers as well, so maybe even then you 1v1 it since you Combined up a lot. Assuming it's not like anti-baton pass haze like you saw Ampo use against Bengay and Smogtor. But anyway, the matchup, looking at it, Tornadus is the big threat because it in conjunction with Latias has potential to overwhelm my Jirachi, but I know that my Jirachi still is at full, and I can hopefully take his leftovers on Ferrothorn with my Thief Politoed. It's Thief plus Water Gem. Speaking of that, that makes for a good lead because it pretty much stays in against everything. You just clicks Hydro turn 1. Pretty brainless start. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get into the game with that. He's leading with Tornadus. He's going to U-turn, not respecting Scarf, which is the good play, in my opinion, because I've got the Landorus T, Keldeo, both of which are ridiculously common Scarfers in Rain. In fact, I only really use Scarf Keldeo and Rain until now. Through all my replays, all my Keldeo Rains are all Scarf. I'm not a big believer in Specs Keldeo Rain. It just feels kind of clunky. But anyway, yeah, Landorus having me Scarf in this team, so it's a safe play by him. Get the chip, scout my set. He knows I'm offensive from the U-turn damage, but I'm clicking Hydro anyway. Worst case scenario, he goes to this, so I can't thief it. But I still have Psychic, so that's totally fine. As this gets to 64. He's going to scout, see what I do. I'm not going to try and thief the Black Sludge because I'm going to take 12.5% each turn. So I Psychic, this is up to 76. Anyway, at this point, I know he's going to do one of two things. He's going to go to Ferrothorn, trying to set up, because he knows I'm not Scald. He knows that since I've revealed those two, it's less likely I'm Hypnosis. Especially since I didn't Hypnosis in the Protect turn. Or he's going to click Toxic/Toxic Spikes, depending whichever he has, because doing that is far more productive than clicking Scald. So I take this turn to get my Poison Heal Breloom safely, and he goes to the Ferrothorn, so now I get a free attack off. The reason I say attack, we normally use 4 turn 1, but look, the Tornadus always carries Sleep Talk on his 4th move for the Prankster, pretty much, especially on someone like Posho, who is using a team that doesn't really benefit much from Tailwind, so I'm taking the simple water. Oh, fuck. Sorry, just talking a lot, getting a dry mouth. So I knew right away that A, he's predicting me to be some set that can't threaten his Tornadus, and B, he's running a Tornadus, which is taking a fuckload from Facade, probably like 60 to 65%, and that's kind of redundant with A, honestly. And anyway, C, the main point is he's going to go to it 100% because he's going to predict Spore and use his Sleep Talk. Because he's not running Tailwind in this team. So, yeah, I knew right away that I could get this into a range where it could only take one more Stealth Rock. It couldn't switch into Tentacle, couldn't switch into Keldeo, couldn't switch into this Balloon again, couldn't switch into Landorus besides U-turn, couldn't switch into either of the other two. So, yeah, it would pretty much neutralize the threat, or at least temporarily neutralize it until my team gets weakened and he makes some aggressive plays. And I go to Jirachi, he makes a good play, and doesn't go for a Pointless Hurricane. We would do sub 35%, probably sub 30%, honestly, especially if it was played. Anyway, so he gets Ferrothorn and we trade rocks, the handshake of Black and White overused. I go to Politoed, figuring he's going to Spike or Leech, Spike being more likely. And now I just trade the Thief on the Ferrothorn for my life. Because why? A, is that scouts if it's Power Whip or Gyro Ball, because if you're running dual hazards, you're only running Run, since Knockoff is most definitely on your moveset. It also means he's Leechless, by the way, which means that now that it has no leftovers, just switching into Jirachi or Landorus U-turn or Scald is going to do a number to it. Unless it's knockoffless, which I think would be stupid. But anyway, yeah, just process of elimination on the set, since it's 2 hazards, you can only carry one of the 2 attacks. And since it revealed Power Whip, that means that Breloom is safe against it, and that means that Keldeo is not safe against it. So that kind of sets my win condition moving forward to Breloom for sure. Although, if it's bulkier Latias, then it was going to have to be Bloom anyway. But, yeah, it definitely makes the game a lot easier for me to know that. And now that it's not leftovers, it can't switch in a bunch since it doesn't have Leech Seed either. Anyway, here, do I go for Spore? I just go for Drain Punch, figuring, okay, the Tornadus is still semi-likely. Drain Punch kills after rocks, and I do not want to tinker with it. But I do 22%, revealing that it's probably a more offensive, it's almost definitely more offensive Latias. And it doesn't have leftovers to confirm that. So I'm thinking, okay, A, even if he tricks me, I just don't want to let that happen. Even if it means he dies to Facade plus Poison. But B, if this is like Life Orb or Specs with Healing Wish, which is the only reason why I use it over Latios, then Psyshock or Draco have a chance to do a lot of damage, if not kill. I am a bulkier balloon, but I'm still adamant natured for the facade roll on Amoonguss. So therefore, I don't want to take with Psyshock that kills me, but also Draco just does a boatload if not kills me from Specs. I didn't actually count that out. I just figured, all right, my switch to Lottie and my switch to Jirachi is really easy because it's a free Thunder since it doesn't have a ground type, so I could paralyze anything. And paralyzing anything besides Ferrothorn would be valuable. I do take 20% from entry hazards, but he goes for Dragon Pulse and he reveals his Life Orb. This says a couple things. First and foremost, that means that the Politoed is almost definitely a Choice Scarf on this team. Since Latias isn't Choice Scarf, I thought this would be Choice Scarf with Healing Wish for sub 3 attacks Jirachi to get 2 lives against me, and I found that prospect to be ridiculously troublesome. I thought this matchup was going to be really hard for me because of that, which is why I tried to whittle his Ferrothorn immediately so I could then maybe burn it with Tentacle and then get away a hazard so I could at least switch freely around the Jirachi. But it turned out to not be the case, as he switched it in here, and that revealed to be Life Orb. So Healing Wish, not entirely likely, and on top of that, this paralyzed the Jirachi, so he's going to need Healing Wish for it to be a threat to the rest of my team, which honestly, this process is huge, but it's 60%. But anyway, I'm just going to Iron Hit here because I don't know what set it is. I'm assuming it's not 3 attacks, so probably a Combine variant, in which case it's going to Thunder or Ice, but I didn't want to risk my Landorus T, so I just stayed in there, figured, okay, to chip. Anyway, this turn here reveals Water Pulse as I get fully paralyzed. Now, that Water Pulse over HP is huge. Why? Because that means that my already status for Loom is not only faster than with the paralysis, but it also walls both of those attacks. So this matchup went from being potentially problematic because of the Jirachi set himself to, okay, manageable because it's paralyzed, to, oh my god, I'm going to win for sure. Because the Jirachi just can't really do much to Balloon. Balloon comes in every time, and it does work. And it really does do work against this team. Which is kind of what his purpose is against most Grants, to be honest. You're just going to see Balloon come in here. I can't imagine it takes more than 20% from Thunder. We goes for sub, actually. But since I'm attack invested and I have the nature, it's definitely going to break the sub. Unless it's like max bold. But anyway, I go for Swords Dance here. He goes for Thunder. Yeah, I think he knows my 4 moves now. Yeah, he goes to Politoed, and it drives to Drain Punch just to test into the fact that it's probably Scarf. And needless to say, I recover from Folks, so already like 80-something. He goes Latias here, and here's a big play. So I'm like, all right, how likely is it that this is Dragon Pulse as the only Dragon Stab, and it also has Psyshock? Like, you can't be really justify Psyshock when you've got a Tentacle, especially to cripple stuff like Jellicent and Keldeo, which you otherwise want to use it for as like a mid-ground to just knock the fuck out of. Especially defensive Jellicent. But anyway, not to get off on a tangent. I didn't think he was Psyshock, and I also was pretty sure he would Roost, picking me to switch out because I was threatened out. And I know that +2 Facade is killing this shit. So he Roosts, I Facade, and now the game's broken open. I don't think I could lose this game without chokes. He goes to Tornadus. That taking rocks means they can only come in one more time if he doesn't get a spin-off. That means that I feel much more comfortable letting Jirachi just kind of die off. I take a U-turn there for 13%, which is fine. He goes to Tentacle, which means I can go to my Tentacle and spin away the hazards, which is good. It means I also am probably going to get into a burn war or two. He uses spin there wisely to get my rocks off, which is fine. My rocker is weakened, so that could be nice. His tornadoes have come a couple more times. Anyway, I finally go for the spin of myself, getting the rocks and spikes off the field. I think now I just fish for burn. I probably should have went to Balloon, though, and click Drain Punch. Looks kind of poor in hindsight. But rocks get up here. I just called again. I'm figuring, no way he's doing more than 45 with Power Whip. He does 43. I can protect it off easily enough to where I'm in sharp big torn range anyway. Specs may be a roll. He goes for Leech Seed here, which really baffled me. How do you not run knockoff on this? Again, opposing Ferrothorn seems really annoying with that knockoff, so I don't know. Even if you're sub Rachi, I feel like you gotta run knockoff on this team. But I digress. He Leech Seeds there, so that kind of forces me out. Actually, I scalded again. I think I just don't agree with pursuing that sequence, but I figured, okay, he's leeching now, so it's negated anyway. Yeah, and it pretty much is negated. I'm down to 80. I go to Breloom on a power, but it's not doing over 25 anyway. He goes to Tentacle here. I go for Drain Punch, just figuring, all right, I don't want to fuck around with the Tornadoes getting like, prankster boosted hurricane sweep with tailwind bullshit. I don't even know. It wasn't tailwind, but yeah. I just drain punch again, predicting it. Now that I see Stephanie staying in, I think I spore here. Yeah, I spore here, revealing that I do indeed have it. He might not have thought so earlier, actually, because I never used it before. But that pretty much locks it up. I think I just go for Drain Punch here. No, I go for Facade. It's 19%. I mean, that's Jotcha is some student investment, but not like max. Probably some defense investment as well. Could be nature or not. But anyway, I get Drain Punch to 27. Knowing that without damage just subs is nice, but it's getting willed anyway, and it can only do 17 with Thunder. At this point, Posho says he has regrets. He used to have Psychic on this, which honestly is really unfortunate for him. But yeah, I just do 30% of the following Drain Punch, then I Facade, take it out, just knowing I can do more than Tentacle if it switched in for some reason. Tornadoes comes in here, so finally I can fodder off the Jirachi to Hurricane, which takes me up from 26. I don't really know if the crit mattered. I don't really care if it did matter. Anyway, he goes Tornadoes here. The only one that hasn't flipped Tailwind yet is kind of nice. I didn't think it was Tailwind again. But anyway, I get a U-turn off here. I go to my Tentacle. I think I just spin, because, like, why not? And then I go Breloom. So I don't want to risk a burn on this in case it's needed or the long-term, like, Pharaoh War bullshit. Which really isn't going to be the case, again, with my Bloom and Keldeo. I thought about going Keldeo there just to kind of start combining up and flex, but it wasn't really optimal. So I just went to Bloom. Sword Dance was a misplay. I should have just spammed Facade, because if he went to turn on the freaking Sword Dance, trying to like predict me to do that and fuck around, then I would have had to fire off Keldeo prematurely, which would have been kind of lame. But anyway, he just goes to the Ferrothorn on Facade, takes 28. Barbs are neglected to barbs are negated by poison heal. Then I drain punch. Same thing happens, but it dies because it's 43%. So despite the damage from iron barbs, it's just negated. It does nothing. First one's tossed out. Then I toss out Keldeo. No, okay, it's not Scarf or Sword, and this is useless. And it's walled by Tentacruel anyway. So I go for U-turn here, just knowing it would kill it, and also take advantage of Tentacruel. Now I go to Breloom, and I just spam Facade here, I believe. I do 54, and then I think I do a crit 55 in this turn. Yep. That makes it 3-1. He goes to Tornadoes. I think I just... Oh, no, I don't even have to... The Balloon's actually last man standing because he just forfeits. So I win 2-0 against Posho in a series that was pretty close. Game 1 could have been a bit closer. This game, it was close in score anyway. It would have been 2-0. Sure, in a sense, I had the upper hand throughout, but he is a solid team that was threatening me with Tornadoes and whatnot. Definitely want to respect Posho. He's a good player. He's going to keep doing well in SPL, I think, as well. But in this series, I got on top of him. I got a much needed win. I got my ribbon. I got my scroller on the forums. Let me see if I could show this. Let me just go to page 7. Yep, and as you can see, my badges are scrolling. It's lit. Yeah, so it's cool. Posho was a bit disappointed with how I played, and I don't think he played his best series, but there will be better series to come. Posho, definitely keep your head up if you're watching this. And I'm just happy that I got my win, got my ribbon, got my scroller, trying to get back into things after a rough start to SPL. But yeah, longer, more analytic kind of upload here from me. I'm glad I won. This is Finch. Thank you very much for listening if you're at this point still. And peace. Have a good night.